writing task is to write a letter to a district nurse at the district nursing center requesting home visit for Mr. Andrew O'Connor, who was admitted in Northwest Rehabilitation Hospital in a paralyzed stage as a result of left cerebrovascular accident. Here, you are a charge nurse in the hospital ward where Mr. O'Connor has resided during his hospital stay, and you are writing a referral letter to the district nurse who will be attending to Mr. O'Connor after his discharge. Let us look into the case note first. This is simple and very straightforward case note. If we look into the case note in detail, we can see there are two dates given. This is the admission date and the discharge date. Here, the admission date is irrelevant and not to be mentioned in the letter, but you have to mention the discharge date in the introduction paragraph of the letter. The date of the letter will be today's date, which is specifically given in the case note because it is essential to know when the service should be provided. The name and age of the patient is important and should be mentioned in the reference part of the letter. All the information mentioned in the case note are relevant and should be mentioned in the letter. While framing the letter, please do keep in mind to organize the information in a proper manner so that the letter doesn't lose its continuity. Taking all these points, we have to prepare a letter in an organized manner. Now, let us see how we can write a letter with the help of a sample letter written by a candidate from Oman. The date written is wrong. Here, the date is specifically given in the case note, that is 19 March 2010. If the date of the letter is given in the case note, you have to mention that date as the date of the letter. The address written is correct. In the salutation, you have to write the designation as mentioned in the case note, that is, Dear Nurse. In the reference, we don't have to write aged 74, instead you can simply say 74 years. Moving to the introduction paragraph, I write to refer Mr. O'Connor, who requires further care and management from your service. He is due for discharge today. Here the introduction is pathetic and fails to impress the reader. Here it doesn't mention anything about the condition of the patient and the kind of service to be provided and how the service should be provided. Since the date of discharge is specifically given in the case note, we should mention the date in the introduction instead of simply saying he is due for discharge today. Making all those corrections, we can rewrite the introduction as I write to request daily home visit for the follow-up care and management of Mr. O'Connor, who is slowly progressing from right side hemiplegia due to LCVA and will be discharged on 22nd March 2010. Moving to the second paragraph, Mr. O'Connor was admitted on 2nd December 2019 and his diagnosis was confirmed as left side stroke with right side hemiplegia. He has mood swings of angry, tearful and happy behavior. Here the admission date is not relevant because it doesn't affect the service or the service provider. The first part of this paragraph is irrelevant if we are writing the introduction as we have discussed. Since the OET letter has word limit and you have to provide a lot of information within this limit, you can avoid explaining the mood swing behavior by giving out the details like angry, tearful and happy behavior. Moving to the third paragraph, Mr. O'Connor is a retired baker with a 71-year wife who was diagnosed with angina. His two married children were not staying nearby. Though nursing home placement was advised for him, his family refused. His house was modified with handrails in bathroom, toilet and bed rails. He has been attended in a day hospital 3 times weekly. Here, it doesn't mention anything about his treatment and progress of his condition which will affect your required score. We should frame paragraph mentioning his hospital stay and treatment like Mr. O'Connor underwent prompt physiotherapy and occupational therapy, but still his prognosis is not satisfactory. So he still requires assistance with daily dressing, in and out of bed and daily living activities. He can feed himself and walk slowly with frame but has occasional mood swings. In the next paragraph you can say, Mr. O'Connor lives with his wife Mary, who is a 71-year-old angina patient, and their children are not living with them. So hospital initially advised for nursing home placement, but his family refused. Necessary modifications are carried out at his home according to an occupational therapist. The last sentence says that He has been attended in day hospital 3 times weekly, which is wrongly placed and instead just be placed in the discharge plan. The last paragraph written is excellent and is framed neatly and in an organized manner. Coming to the wind-up sentence, you have to mention the name of the patient along with the sentence. Then it becomes, please feel free to contact me for any queries regarding Mr. O'Connor. The sign-off written is correct. Here, all the first 3 paragraphs fail to impress the reader. Considering these points, this letter can get a score of 200. Thank you.
New method for OET learning. How are you preparing? Online or offline? For speaking and writing, you can get tutor reviews. How will you be able to manage your reading and listening? How can you manage your self-practice easier than ever before? Learn OET in Merlin's way. Most successful OET learning method from world's best online trainer. Chat now. mentormerlinexam.com